Hi, this is Anastasia Bridgers, and I'm calling to tell you a story. Over 30 years ago. Um, I was 18 when I was married and had my first baby, and I was on my own with my own house when I was 19. And I had two little ones, and it was overwhelming at times, and I had a third baby, and the father was off to prison. It was too much. To make a long story short, I had to let the grandparents on his side, his parents, raise the children. And the dilemma now that my children don't contact me, you don't call me, nothing. But I do make sure they're taken care of. But other than that, it's overwhelming. Children, no children. And then God give me children that make sure I'm okay. Let me tell you what a special, I'm not going to call her name out. I'm going to say hairdresser. I met this young baby. And I call her my baby because she is so nice. And she, when I first went to her shop, I needed a ride home. And she said, I'll take you home, Miss Stacy. I said, okay, thank you. So I blessed her. And I said, she said, if you need help, this right here. She said, if you need help taking that out, I'll take it out and do your new do. I said, really? What a sweet, sweet child. She said, I'm the only child, Miss Stacy. I said, oh my God. What a gem, what a diamond. Your parents raised you up right to treat somebody, a senior citizen like I am. I'm 54 years old and I have a walker, but I'm a storyteller, I'm a songwriter, I'm a model, and the list goes on and on, but this baby wants to bless me. We have to look out for the children that God gives us. Amen? God will give you a ram in the bush, and we have to bless these babies. I have another child who is my nephew. Don't you know he'll do anything for me if I ask him? And sometimes I don't have to pay him, but I gave him money anyway. He will do anything for me. I said, this is my adopted son. I love him like one of my babies. I really do. When I do what I do, I include him. He will give me a glass of water and don't get mad. I said, hi, how are you? I'm good. I said, oh my God. God will give you children. I remember I was in Greenville. I had this aide who we got married to each other. We kissed and make up. I was this aide, and she came when I covered for her. I just say I covered for her, and then she would come and say, "Will you DoorDash with me? I'm scared at night." I said, "Sure." I was living by myself. I said, "Sure, I'll DoorDash with you." So we DoorDash. We ride up and down the roads in Greenville, North Carolina. And we ride around the roads sometimes in the rain and whatever. I said, calm down, we're going to be all right. My angels are with me, baby. Just guide that wheel. And we were, riding up and down the roads and stuff. And we had good fun. And she stopped for a while because she had she worked somewhere else. So I said, yeah, here's another daughter. So God will give you children. But last Christmas, I was here, and my daughter gave me a Christmas gift and gave it to my first grandbaby. Grandma Stacy, here a Christmas gift. I said, oh my God. baby, I love you. And she said, I love you too. And it hurts me sometimes that I'm not in their life, but I had to realize you gotta let them go. They grown now. They got children. They got families. Just love them from a distance. And that's what I'm doing. I'm loving them from a distance. They're not saying they don't love me. They got other things going on. But you know what? God would always have a ram in the bush and have somebody that give you a glass of water or a flower or a hug or a kiss. I remember this, I was in a assisted living home. I'm not going to name the name. Pure hell, but I was in an assisted living home. And I met this woman. And I looked at her. She had a golden, in my spirit, I said, a golden aura about her. She told me that she had an aneurysm, but she almost died. And they went in her head and saved her and everything, and she lived to tell about it. When an aneurysm bursts in your head and you alive to tell about it, that's a blessing from God. And I would hug. I said, can I give you a hug? She said, sure. I gave her a hug. I felt so much love. I just grabbed her like my mother. My mother had those kind of hugs. I grabbed her. I said, I love you so much. You're my best friend. You're my sister. You need anything, let me know. I sure did. God gave me a sister. Don't get me wrong. My other two sisters, I'm the oldest. They love me too. Don't get me wrong. They don't mistreat me. They busy. They got their own lives or whatever. They give me hugs and kisses and all that. But this is like an older sister to me. She's older than me. And like a big sister. I didn't have a big sister because I was the oldest. But she has a big. She was my big sister. But so I embraced her as a big sister. I mean, little sister. And she was so nice to me. She said, "Come here." I said, "What? Come here. I want to wash your hair." Oh, wash my hair in an assisted living home when the landlord want to just take your money and throw you away and don't do nothing for you? Yeah, I get my hair washed. Got my hair washed. She braided up in the back and braided cornrows in the back so I could wear my wigs. I had, and that assisted living home, I had money. They didn't know it, but I had money. I didn't have to ask them for nothing. They I had packages that when I left, they still got the stuff and they using it. I said, good. I couldn't carry all that stuff with me from Zebulon to where I am now. No, I couldn't carry all that stuff. And I told the driver who was my cousin, I said, look, I got clothes. I mean, you're gonna have to need a van. You're gonna have to need a van. You're gonna have to need a van. And you know, and when you hold on. They keep them on the inside the building and sell them separately. It's so anyway, like I'm saying, I said, I had to, and I had to, I'm sorry. Now when it seemed like market a piece have radar. When you're trying to talk or do something, all of a sudden they want to talk. Anyway, back to what I was saying. My cousins picked me up, and they were from Greenville, and they picked me up, and took me back to where I was supposed to be at, and that was, and they said, you didn't have that much stuff. We could have took the car. I said, well, I didn't want to overload your car with my clothes because I had some clothes, when I got there. But let me tell you a story about the hospital that I was leaving from. I was at a metropolitan hospital for about a month, and then the app team that was working with me put me in there saying I had a urinary tract infection. To make a long story short, excuse me. To make a long story short, hold on for a minute. But to make a long story short, they they took my furniture, they took my TVs, they took my recliners, they took my clothes. They just cleaned me out. Clothes that I had there, clothes that I bought, food, everything. The nurses took it. The nurses took it. So that's what happened. And I could really sue the app team. I could really sue the hospital for doing that, because the hospital told me before I left, we got your stuff in storage. And she named two of my nephews, said they put it in storage, which they didn't. They cleaned me out. The Metropolitan Hospital, which is in Granville. And the app team helped it. She didn't buy I had clothes in the house. She just bought me two shirts and two pairs of pants. But I had an angel. Let me tell you this. I had an angel that gave me money enough to buy me some clothes. I bought clothes on. I put money on my Cash App. I cashed a check. I put my money on Cash App and I bought clothes, shoes, everything I needed. An angel in my area blessed me with that check, and I'm grateful. And God been blessing me ever since. Sometimes you have to have a Job experience, and it's hard, but you know what? God will restore everything in the end. And I close. You might not have raised your children, and they might not be talking to you, and they might not even tell you love them, but don't stop loving them. I did the meanest thing, and I'm still repenting to God for it. I told a child name that I hate them, and I didn't mean it, but I was angry because she wouldn't reach out to me. And I even called her and said, look, anything I did, I'm sorry, which I am. You don't hate your baby. You carried them 9 months in your womb. You pray, you ask God to protect your children before they come here. And they come here happy. My children didn't have a hard life. My children was happy. They didn't have a hard life. They didn't know about struggle, and they still don't. They still don't know about struggle. They are blessed kids. My prayers, the grandma Martha prayer, the grandma Ada prayers, the prayers of the righteous avail much. That's why they didn't have it so hard. I wouldn't want my kids going through with what I went through in a house with no washing machine, no dryer. I had to take the dark clothes, put them all in a tub, scrub them out in my hand, wring them out, and hang them on the line. Then I had to take my white clothes, put bleaching soap in it, let them soak in a tub, and let them become white. And then I went, and then I went out and hung them on the line. I said, God brought me for. I didn't know what a dryer was. And then when I had my houses, I had washing machines and dryers. And I was blessed. Back then, when I was 20, I had to get some help because I had a nervous breakdown. I couldn't work until I went to school for a nurse's assistant. And back then, it was hard to get it. But I got it. And I was a nurse's assistant for over 20 years. And that's why my ailment is so bad, because I used to lift those people by myself because those girls would not help me. I had to do a job. That's why I'm in a walker right now. I have osteoarthritis because I used to lift, really manhandle people in and out of the bed. But I don't. I thank God for it because it makes me strong that I can still do stuff even with a walker. So I have a happy life. I have a happy life. You said, well, Stacey, you struggling with this. You're going to go through it when you with Jesus. Jesus said, take up your cross and follow him. Look at this dress. See how pretty it is? God gave it to me. See my hair? God did that. See my rings? God did that too. Don't hate, celebrate. Because God could do the same thing for you. I go. Deuces 1,000 times more, double blessings, blessings in abundance. Till we meet again. Anastasia, love you. Bye for now.